Hello, sir.
1 second, let me.
Yeah.
Why this time this is not coming?
Sir, is there any issue?
Yeah, see, this time my screen, that PPT is not coming appearing. Okay, I don't know what happened.
Uh, can you rejoin, sir?
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah, please share the screen, sir. Sir, you're muted now.
See, last time when I started sharing, my PPT was appearing on the screen. Okay, so that I clicked and it was sharing. Now that is not coming. I don't know why.
Can you share the PPT, sir, now to me? I will share the screen.
Okay, then it will be little problem. Okay, I.
No problem, sir. We will wait. We will wait. No problem. Can you share to my mail ID or in my WhatsApp?
Yeah. Okay. I'll reply to that the same thing. Okay. Same in the one which you send the joining link. I'll put it on that. Okay. Is that fine?
Uh, yeah, that's fine, sir. Yeah, please.
Why in the first shot it was coming all right now. It's,
Yeah, no
technology.
problem, sir. We can share. No problem.
I'll make one more attempt.
Yeah, I got this mail, sir.
You got the mail. Okay.
Yeah.
Should I make one more attempt to see if
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure, sir. Yeah,
is it
please.
coming now? By any chance?
Not that. Always, please check.
No, sir, it is not coming.
It's not coming.
Yeah, I will share. I will share. No problem.
One moment. Let's get it. The whole PC is coming. Right.
No problem, sir. When you want to change the slide, just mention me. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay, good. How many of you, all are students from MIT?
External participants also there, sir.
Okay, all engineering students and engineers also.
Yeah, yeah, sir. All engineers and
Okay. Good evening.
did you share the screen is visible now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, 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 okay. I'm going to mute. Just tell me, sir, when you want to stay, change the slide.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, good evening and sorry for that minor glitch. Okay, and I thank IEEE chapter for offering me this opportunity to connect with my alma mater once again. And I believe some of you at least are students from NIT Calicut. Okay, so and I believe among the audience there are all budding engineers. So I'll since you are all engineers, see I'll restrain myself talking too much of engineering perhaps. Okay, and I'll take this opportunity to introduce for few seconds my organization that is Society of Energy Engineers and Managers. This is the professional body. Can keep changing the slide. This is the professional body of certified energy auditors and managers, certified by Bureau of Energy Efficiency. It's a non-profit organization established since 2005. So we have got the student chapters. That is why I thought of mentioning this. We have got student chapters in various engineering colleges. In NIT also, if you all wish, you can start student chapter of SEAM, by which you can exchange ideas about energy conservation, energy management, energy efficiency, and the entire gamut of energy studies. Okay, that will be a good experience. Okay, so we can mobilize experienced engineers from the field to talk to you. Can move the slide, please. So far we had this a little older version. Okay, we had over 100,000 knowledge hours have been disseminated, and over 200 something around 200 programs, international, national, state, student chapter level programs, and we undertake even in energy efficiency project, and we have got 2 publications also. Yeah, move. You can. So we have got a to cater the various types of memberships. We have got student member. Then just after passing out, when people are in search of a job and all, so we have got an affiliate member, which can also stand you in good stead when you appear for interviews, etc. Then, if you are not getting certified, you can become an associate member. And once you get certified as an energy auditor or manager, that will be you will be a full-fledged member, and annually, or it can be life member. Then very senior people can become fellow of this society after having spent some time with the scene. Then there are institutional members, academic as well as institutional members, industry. Move, please. So you can move. Yeah, this is these are some of the glimpses of various programs we conduct. We have a national award program every year where the industry veterans are honored for their efforts. Move, please. And we have got, along with the help of foreign agencies, we carry out interventions in the various industries in India. We can move. Okay. Yeah, with that brief introduction and a request for you to start a student chapter in your college, I get on to the subject. Okay. See, energy. No, wait a second. Okay. So that is energy, as we all know. See, as engineers, I don't have to tell what is energy. But the interesting fact is that uh, any natural processes, all natural processes and any human actions are all can be defined in terms of energy transformations. Okay, whether you are breathing, sleeping, running, or is it raining, it's waves, all entire natural phenomena as well as human actions can be defined, described, in terms of energy transformation. That is the beauty of energy. Okay, next slide, please. So, see, when I started studying about energy conservation, I thought that it is invented in this century, okay, or previous century, okay, precisely, when there were oil shocks and then people started worrying about the conservation of energy, saving money, etc. So that is how the energy conservation. That was my impression when I started learning about energy, and this. I started learning about energy only by 2005 or 4 only. Okay, so that time this was my impression. When I went deeper into things, I am finding now, my latest discovery is that even the origin of life has got a component of energy conservation. Okay, see, traditionally, say there are two theories which are running about in the one is heterotrophic theory of origin of life, and another is chemoautotrophic theory. The heterotrophic theory postulates that the organisms are deriving its the nutritional requirements from the complex organic compound or organic substance which was prevalent at that point of time. And chemoautotrophic theory postulates that they are deriving energy from the oxidation of inorganic components. Okay, so they are varying. One is organic path, and the other is inorganic path. Okay, now the latest theory, two scientists have from the Pennsylvania University, they have put up a new this thing. I mean, they combining both this, but they tell that the first chemoautotropic cell conserved energy by a process called substrate level phosphorylation, and that led to the creation of acetic acid, which was the basic component for I think they call it ATP, and that was because of the energy conservation principle. Okay, how beautiful! I mean, as engineers, we can feel proud. I mean that as an energy engineer, I feel proud that even the origin of life can be traced back to the energy conservation principles. Next slide, please. Okay, say energy conservation is one imperative among so many energy imperatives which shape the human history, culture, and civilization. Because every event in the history can be defined, described, explained in terms of energy transformations, and especially when the people's quest for conserving energy can be seen. Okay, then say in earlier days, no, I used to tell that the concept is as old as the first man started walking on his feet about say, a few decades, 4 centuries before. But now I stand corrected that it is right from the origin of life itself. The energy conservation played a big role in our origin of life itself. Next slide, please. So the advances in civilization, if you study deeply, see, it was all the quest for higher energy use. It was always a the quest for energy. That means that see, uh, when the early man was only foraging. Okay, so he'll be hunting, gathering, or gathering fruit, having it then and there, or hunting an animal, then having for food, etc. So there was no concept of carrying it back. Okay, that all. So and you can have move to the next slide, please. The carrying back of food back to this thing only it started when the people started walking about it. Bipedalism started. Okay, okay. Although the Homo sapiens had a long history of about roughly around 200,000 years ago, but they remained simple foragers. I mean, see, they hunt, gather, eat it then and there, satiate their hunger, thirst, etc. And it went on. I see, only see around 10,000 years or so, people started settling down in some places and domesticating animals, etc. You can move to the next slide. So it all started with the bipedalism. I mean, the man started walking about. Okay, then he started the concept of consuming food away from the point of gathering. Okay, that was the first time. Okay, they could carry something. See, till that bipedalism happened, they didn't have the free hands to carry something back. Okay, so it all started with that. So the why I'm calling this is a food is a source of, that was the source of energy at that point of time. They wanted to conserve. They wanted to carry it back where they are in their different sort of comfort level. They wanted to consume these things. Okay, so this was the, and there started the invention of tools. They, you must have learned in your classes of the Stone Age and Metal Age, etc. So they, first of all, the tools were made of stones. Okay, so they got the mechanical advantage, sharper things to cut open animals, perhaps, or something like that. So all those invention of tools took place. Again, it is all with the quest of having more energy, more surplus energy. Or surplus energy comes by conserving energy. The next slide, please. So then they started domesticating animals. Okay, they started using animal power for agriculture. Then um, they started hoeing and plowing. So plowing, definitely you needed it. Then they started having metallic implements for that. So that to have a better mechanical advantage. So that start the that prompted them to invent something using a metallic implement. So next slide, please. And so, so the early era energy transition, if you see, they banked heavily on wind power, hydropower. So the one which now we think that is all newly invented. People had long history of having used wind power and hydropower, which now we are rediscovering that power. Then windmills for milling. The hydropower was used for irrigation because by gravity, or mills they used to irrigate lands. Then for milling and grinding, they used to have wind power, etc. And those days. Okay. Next slide. Then started copper. They started using copper. So copper, the 1500 BC, and this copper could be see, it could be molded into various shapes and etc. But at a lower temperature. I mean, since it was about 900, so they were achieving this temperature by burning wood. Okay. Then uh, they discovered about the copper or bronze was not sufficient for making certain applications. So they brought about the advent of iron took place, and which was sometime in 1000 BC or something. So, but iron melts at a higher degree. So how to do that? So that man discovered coal for the first time for a higher calorific value, and that could heat up the metal to the about 100 1500 degrees centigrade, which was required to melt iron. Okay, next slide. Yeah, the if you go to the history, and you can see that Chinese started using the coal for the first time. Then it went to Belgium, and then London became the hub of all the industrial activity. Okay, and the growing demand for iron also, because that time the exploration to other continents started in those Western nations. So shipbuilding was there prevalent at that point of time. So people wanted to have more and more usage of iron. So this coal usage of coal also increased. Next slide. Okay. then cost of wood, because of the demand for wood, it was going up for some time. Then the coal took over, and that is the history. Okay, so whenever the wood becomes the wood was at a point of time costlier than coal, and then thereafter when the use of coal became much more advantageous for faster melting, etc. So that coal took over and coal was prevalent use. Next slide, please. Then the transition of coal took place 1560 to 1760, and then at the late 70s was the 17th or 18th century was the advent of the Industrial Revolution. Okay, next slide. I am taking you through the history because to understand the latest, I mean, the title was New Frontiers, but you may be wondering why I'm talking about the old things. Okay, to get a perspective of the new frontiers, you should have a background of the evolution. Okay, that's why. So, industrial revolution, as you all know, it started with the steam engine, then electric motor, Faraday. Some of you must be electrical engineers. Then Edison's lamp, IC engine, Wright brothers, so the first flight. All those things happened in by 19. Okay, next slide. Next slide. Then in the 20th, early 20th century, hydrocarbons replaced coal. I mean, this oil started overpowering coal, and because of its higher energy density, higher conversion efficiency, and convenience of handling, etc., and new technologies of drilling and extracting oil also aided that the transition to hydrocarbons. Next slide. Yeah, these are the energy transition over years. I mean, so I just put up the slides for your general knowledge sake. You can move over to the next slide, please. Then came the few oil shocks. Okay, Suez Canal crisis when our India's friend Egyptian president at that point of Nasser put an embargo for the ships to come to the Suez Canal to protect India. So that put the shortage of oil. Then came the OPEC oil embargo in 1973-74, which was that was ripe in my memory also. Okay, so that I was always when I started learning about the energy conservation, I was under the impression that the energy conservation concepts took shape only by 1973. I stand corrected because I started exploring what is the origin of the energy conservation. It should be very interesting for you also to explore these concepts. It will go beyond your confines of your text on pure engineering. Because if I remember correctly, even AICT defines a graduate engineer who comes out after the 4 years. Some of you at least will be undergraduates. Okay, those who are coming out as after 4 years of graduation in engineering, uh, they define about 12 attributes of engineering, out of which only 5 are precisely engineering related. 7 are beyond engineering. I mean, it talks about one should be aware of engineer and society, engineer and ethics, engineer and lifelong learning. These are some of the concepts you should imbibe. Okay, during your college studies. Okay, even my first brush with IEEE was I was in engineering college, but we didn't have the advantage of having an internet connection or in those days it was I'm talking about 4 decades before. In see IEEE, there was a Spectrum magazine used to come to our library even in those days. In REC it was there. So that was one of the. So it used to come about 3-4 months or even more late. Issues we used to have. Okay, incidentally, one of those Spectrum magazine articles was my inspiration to present we had at that point of time a annual what you call presentation. I forgot what seminar. Okay, the articles from IEEE Spectrum was the inspiration for that topic. Okay, that's besides the point. So I'm telling the say you should also develop uh, a passion to go beyond your this thing and study this kind of interesting topic. See, when you come across something, some topic of passion, you should go into the history, its relation to the culture development, its relation to the society, present and past. So that will give you lot of um, emotional attachment to this subject. Okay, then you can say that will make you creative. That will make you more contributing to the society's problem. You will be able to address many of the problems of the society. So whichever field you choose, you try to trace back the history or evolution of that particular subject or a topic. That will give you lot immense pleasure in understanding, immense pride in pursuing those studies. So that is what I am experiencing in my pursuit of energy studies. I'm still learning a lot in this. So coming back to the point, I thought that oil shock was the beginning of the energy conservation studies, etc., which I was totally wrong in that. Okay, next slide, please. Very good. Yeah. So, see now, oil shocks were definitely an impetus. It gave an impetus to the various discoveries, various thinking all around research and development, etc. And many technologies evolved around for conserving energy. That consciousness was percolated among various sections of society. That was beyond doubt about it. And say even in India also this had its reverberations, and the public sector undertakings started conserving energy. So, and even it took the shape of PCRA, which was formed somewhere in those days. And but even in those days, so the energy auditing or energy conservation, uh, uh, even a Energy Conservation Act also was brought out only in the year 2002. Okay. 2000, and it got started getting implemented. And I was telling about during the introduction, he was telling about I am a certified energy auditor. Under the Energy Conservation Act, there was a provision for certifying engineers as certified energy auditors or certified energy managers. Even now, there is an exam being conducted annually by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency to certify the engineers as managers or auditors to cater to the requirement of energy conservation requirements of the industry uh, and the community and the society. Okay. So, but this all, although we were affected by the oil shocks way back in the earlier days, but the Energy Conservation Act was brought out only in 2002, precisely. And when the exam was instituted in the year 2005, and that is why when the slide was shown, that this Society of Energy Engineers and Managers also took birth in the year 2005, and the first batch of energy certified energy auditors and managers came out. Okay, so that was the back history of the energy conservation so far. Okay, but now now there is a totally new rediscovery of all these energy imperatives. Okay, because so this was the history up to say 20th century. Okay, now the it was all governed by economic emergency. Okay, because they wanted to save money. Okay, because of the embargoes, because of the wars, um, um, battles in the West Asia, the oil became costly, the crude became costly. So that makes that so people had to find means to reduce their cost, so that no, the cost of energy was not coming down. So they wanted to reduce the consumption of energy. So that was an economic emergency. Okay, the industry especially was seized of that emergency, so found ways how to. So the early efforts in energy auditing, energy conservation started in those days. So the it started, of course, in the West, and India also had its share of these efforts. Okay, a precursor to the current Bureau of Energy Efficiency, one energy management center in Delhi was established. So that was the predecessor to the current BE. Okay. Now moving from the economic emergency, now the scene has shifted to a environmental emergency. Okay. We are all, I mean, the, when I started learning about energy also, the discussion on environmental emergency was not that much predominant in our discussion forums, but it was coming in a way. Okay. But nowadays, you can see every paper. I mean, every second day at least, the papers will be screaming about the environmental disasters which are happening every now and then, and um, the recently concluded COP26. You must all have been familiar with all the happenings in that, where the the world leaders are coming together to discuss how to save, how to reduce the emissions. And emissions, see, up to 70% of the emissions are coming out of the energy production and energy consumption. And so addressing those issues will reduce the emissions. So that is how the from a economic emergency, the along with the you can see it is totally not gone as such also. Along with economic emergency, the environmental emergency also has taken a parallel position in the rediscovery of energy imperatives, especially the energy conservation, because energy conservation lead to reduction in the total energy consumption. And see, see, so these two forces are now complementing each other to uh, make forays into every walk of life of human beings. Every country, every geography, every segment of economy is now seized of uh, having its own energy conservation methods, energy efficiency methods, to because of the complementary effect of these two emergencies which the world is now facing. So, as Kerala is, I don't have okay, those. I believe that most of you are from Kerala, so we are facing the climate change threats since last 2 3 years. Continuously, we are facing. No, every phenomena. I mean, the floods, the torrential rains, the short spells of torrential rains, floods. Uh, all these are the manifestations of various climate change, which is and this climate change is a effect of the global warming. Okay, so I don't think this. See, I don't have to take a rudimentary lecture on why global warming, greenhouse gases, and then climate change. And so I take it for granted that you are all familiar with, because a lot of discussion do take place in these days in magazine, journals, newspapers, and in various fora. These things happen. So these two intertwined emergencies are now forcing people to think on this energy imperative of energy conservation in a hard way, in a strong way. Okay, so we'll move to the next slide, please. So and along with that, there are several the new drivers of energy imperatives are also assisting. Okay, not only that, it has become a need of the hour. Many factors, many drivers are also there, aiding that the hastening of that the our adoption of energy conservation methods in a big way. Okay, climate emergency, yes, because the people are suffering from the various emergencies, various various populations are getting devastated there. See whether it is across the continents. It's not only in India. It's across the continents. It is happening. You can, if you look at the papers. I mean, even unprecedented temperature rise in places like France, for example, okay, or floods in Germany, floods in USA, hurricanes, which is visiting very frequently the US shores, and we call it cyclones, which is we had many devastating spells in the eastern coast as well as the western coast of India. So we had our share of uh, hardships on either cost, and which is all affecting the. So these are all affecting economy also, because whenever we try to pull our socks together, then get to the next level, next orbit of growth, these things are pulling us back. Okay, so the climate emergency has got its repercussions on the economy. It is on the growth of people. So so that is a so that imperative of energy conservation becomes very predominant, very significant for people to think on those terms. Then the environmental degradation. Okay, this is again assisting to the climate emergency. Environmental degradation because the deforestation, for example. I mean, the cutting of forests that is leading to the uh, degrading the quality of land, quality of the unbridled extraction of coal, and this is because many fora, when I listen to people, I can gather information how the coal field, coal mines, the coal mine dominated geographies have it's suffering from unprecedented heat waves, etc. So, and the all around, because of the emissions itself, the environmental degradation is happening, the melting of glaciers, all these things you are listening from you are learning from the newspapers. And the another thing which is coming to the fore is that, see, till now, see, as many engineers like me, I was also thinking that it is the energy conservation, energy business, everything was confined to engineers only. But now there is some phenomena called ESG. It is an environment, social, and governance. Okay, so this is a very buzzword in the financial parlance. I mean, among the finance executives, the ESG, the people are looking at companies who are conscious of their environment, social and governance factors. Then such companies only attract investment. Okay, see, there are the major investors, the financing companies of the West, they look at a company's this track record of ESG, and then only they will invest in companies. Okay, so this is aided by the sustainability thinking. This FTG. So some of you, I mean, all of you, I believe, whether it's an engineer or in any other walk of life, you'll all be getting into careers which will be aimed at achieving the sustainable development goals, SDG. There are 17 of them are defined, which will be uh, covering the entire gamut of human and life activities on the earth. And knowingly or unknowingly, all of you will be working towards one or more of those SDGs. Okay. So it's, see, I'm putting only ideas onto your mind to explore. I mean, see, this is a very short discussion. There will not be sufficient enough to discuss all those concepts, because, say, I'm putting food for thought, food for exploration to you. So, because as engineers, say, don't confine yourself only to the engineering text, because that is a platform you have to build your knowledge on. That is the ethos, that is the approach methodology which which will enable you to attack various problems, etc. And beyond that, you have to go. You have to take engineering thinking as a tool to explore the other facets, which I told about this um, this the 7 attributes of an engineer. You can look up at AICT website. You find out what is the attributes, and I'm leaving it open for you to foray into those things. Okay, so ESG. So, for example, the finance people are now talking about environment. Okay, so that is another driver. Because, see, till now, if an engineer puts up a proposal for energy conservation, some projects used to get scuttled by the finance people. Now they are telling, okay, now the finance man will come and put a driver. Okay, so if our company has to attract investment from such and such financing giant, we need to be showing our track record on environmental issues. Okay, out of this ESG, fortunately, 60% are environmental factor. Environment includes energy. Energy in environment, energy is a major component. Okay, so that way, uh, we now say that from the energy conservation has moved as a concept. It has moved from the boiler room to the boardroom. That's a very welcome phenomena for engineers like you and me, because earlier when I started talking about energy conservation, energy audit, immediately when I then go to a industry, I was immediately directed towards a maintenance department or a electrical department. So they thought that it's something low level, not even if I go and meet the head of the institution, head of the company, they used to direct me to the engineering head or maintenance head, thinking that it is none of their cup of tea. Okay, now that is a very welcome driver in the whole assimilation of energy conservation as a concept in the industry. Okay, then say then technologies have developed, and the technology, engineering technologies there, ICT is another one. So these are driving to a great extent of, so now they call it intelligent efficiency. Okay, so there is a component of see, you are all engineers. I don't have to sermonize on those things. There's AI, IR, ML, all these jargon words are all familiar with you. So I don't have to tell all those technology here. This technology, because each of this has got an application in as a, it's aiding as a driver to the energy conservation. For example, say AI. Say the because of the AI, see, it is able to sense. See, earlier in there were sensors, no, to collect the data about a particular parameter, say temperature, pressure, or vibration. So the sensors used to transmit through wires. Okay, so to a central processing unit or central computer. But see, now why? See, then the technology advanced in such a way that there was no need for a wire to connect between the sensor and the processing unit. And still further, this sensor itself has become advanced. It's technology. So, so technology is aiding. And so the sensor itself is intelligent. It can take a decision and then control the machine, the equipment then and there. Okay, so that kind of technology has also aided the energy conservation activities by um, the industry or those who want to adopt. Then, of course, the government policy, because I mentioned about the COP26, right from this is the 26th such meeting. That they all the COPs have definitely the raised the level of consciousness, and now the COP21. Till that time, there was a bickering between the developed nations and the developing nations, so who is to build the cat and all. So now the at least COP21, that was in 2005, it was settled that okay, now we decide that the nations may decide on their own. So what is, they can determine their own reduction in emissions, and so that way, and then they were to file in a biannual, the half yearly report on what they are doing, what they have committed, and what they are achieving. Okay, India is also significant to that, and so these government policies across the world also aiding that. This is also a driver because no more. I mean, these government policies are percolating down to the up to the local self-governing bodies, like in our case, municipal bodies or panchayat bodies are all working on the again. See, the consciousness may not be there because see, even our this metro rail, for example, see, it's a part of these policies. Okay, so for decarbonization and energy conservation, this is happening in various cities in India also. So these are all a part of a larger master plan uh, by which the whole the various nations of the countries are addressing the issue, and energy conservation is a major component of this thing. Okay, so many people may be working and contributing to these things even unknowingly also. Okay, so every act of this, I mean, okay, we can see this will be under the government policies. Okay, so these are some of the drivers which is helping. Okay, people to adopt to this energy conservation in a faster way. You can move to the next. Yeah. See, I think I touched upon these things already in the new enablers. Okay. See, there are drivers and enablers are information technology. I touched upon the role of ICT, AI. Okay. See, there are this the digital twinning is another technology by which even a say very complicated or unaccessible equipment like a boiler. Okay, if there is a digital twin, you can simulate things and then work on that. Then you can try out your modifications, etc., and then implement it in the real this thing. So these kind of things and big data, the data analytics, and see earlier no, even if you get data from the sensor, the analyzing it will take maybe months together before, and only post-mortem could be done. Now the data analytics can, because the super computers are there, fast computers are available, our computing ability has gone up. So analytics will take place on the go, and then that split second decisions can be taken and conveyed back to the equipment for controlling, monitoring, etc. IoT is finding in a big way. Incidentally, seen in association with Non-Alignment Movement Science and Technology Center, we are holding a webinar on January 19th and 20th. Okay, if you are interested, I can share with Rahul the brochures, etc. You can. The students also have got a concession. You can join as delegates. That will expose you to the various cutting edge technologies in IIoT, Industry 4.0, energy, remote energy monitoring, etc. So this will be another. Okay, I can help you to, I mean, say, expose yourself into more of this IoT, etc. Then the circular economy is that finding the symbiotic relation between the various industries. So that now there is eliminating a wastage, because waste waste is defined now as the resource for resource in a wrong place. Okay, waste for somebody will be, because like if you take the current example, the sometime back fact FSCT used to have a lot of gypsum piling up in their compound, which was leaching into the ground, spoiling the air quality, and all. So they found a way that this gypsum can be made into prefab walls for constructing the non-load bearing walls of a building, etc. So that is being reused in the construction industry. So there are various, I mean, such examples can be thought of. I mean, the waste of or byproduct of one industry goes to the another industry as a raw material for that, and that is the circular economy, creating a symbiotic relation among the industries, so that absolutely there is no waste. Because earlier no, the it was a linear economy. You dig out and then process, then waste something, we dispose it off, and the product is also made to have a uh, disposal at some point of time. Okay, this was all demanding on the earth. Our poor earth was all suffering because of all these activities. Now, instead of that, it is a circular economy. They, even after the life of a product, how it can be recycled, upcycled. So all these things are being discovered, researched into that. Okay. Right. These are all giving generation to the. You can move to the next slide. So, see, although energy conservation was the topic of today, because today being the energy conservation day, all these the allied imperatives go hand in hand. Okay, the energy conservation, energy efficiency, energy productivity. Okay, the alternative energy, renewable energy, energy management. All these are interrelated concepts which will go along with together. And next slide, please. So these are all independently can be researched out and understand. Okay, and in the energy conservation itself, that now say from energy conservation, people are moving towards resource conservation. I told you that is how the circular economy concept etc. is coming around. Okay, so resource conservation, then low carbon steel. Okay, now the people are thinking of how to de-link the even fossil fuel this thing usage of in the steel production that is being they are trying to have electrolysis. So then it will be electricity will be used to separate iron from the ore, or then maybe as an interim this thing they are thinking of the green hydrogen as a fuel to this thing that is being heavily promoted by our government also as a policy matter. Some policy will be coming out soon. The low carbon cement, okay, geopolymer cement is one, and then the low carbon paper, um, low carbon buildings, low carbon transport. These are all see, these are the some of the areas as engineers you will be working on this on the research or implementation, or see low carbon transport is now EVs. Okay, today also I was talking to someone on the EV. Okay, EV is getting very fast adopted even in Kerala itself. There are already 300 charging stations implemented. I was talking to the transport secretary today. He was telling that already 300 odd charging stations are installed in Kerala. That will all adding to the faster adoption of a low carbon transport. Okay. And renewable energy, of course, see many policies, many already technologies are around. Next slide, please. So this is something. This is the research cycle. Okay, the increased demand for revenue, increased revenue requirements are there, and that will in turn uh, foster a increased demand for goods and services. So all this, so instead of this increased demand creating an additional energy demand, how to recycle? Okay, how to have a better so R&D substitution of knowledge and labor so that exergy efficiency goes up, the better product development, better process development, all these leading to, although the GDP or gross domestic product of every nation goes up, revenue goes up, the lifestyle, living conditions of our people goes up, but it is delinked from the energy consumption. Okay, so okay, that will be assisted by this kind of a closed loop applications by a lot of engineers like you will be helping the nations and the world to reach this stage of lowering the cost of production, lowering the extraction of resources from this planet Earth, because we are already demanding, putting a lot of demand on the Earth, and that is beyond its this thing, beyond its capacity to serve you all people. Okay, so there is a biocapacity for the whole Earth, and we are all there is a global footprint, which will, that is this global footprint will estimate the demand which we are putting on the earth, and biocapacity is the one which the earth is able to serve you. Okay. Unfortunately, we are already on an overdraft from August onwards. Every year, so we are on an overdraft. The earth cannot supplement your needs as of now unless we resort to a much more elevated, exalted way of thinking how to reduce our demand on the earth. So energy conservation plays a big role in that. Okay, and we engineers have got a major role, and that is how your contribution, your commitment to the society. That is why I insist that you be, I mean, be alive to the society's. Unlike, see, when I talk to youngsters, I always apologize. My generation squandered away this thing, so, but at least you should not be doing that, and you need not have the should not be at a position to apologize to your next generation. So, okay, so next we'll go to the next slide. So there is a possibility of there is a something called exergy efficiency, that is the useful energy. Because see, many times the energy analysis will not lead to the right approach. So the concept of exergy, which is deriving its existence from the second law of thermodynamics, it is that also is one point you can explore on your own. Okay, some say energy is definitely an interdisciplinary thing. You can't tell me I'm an electrical engineer, I will not look at the thermodynamics, and I say that is a foolish approach for an engineer, because the ultimately the engineering is an interdisciplinary thing. Okay, so you have to be. See, I was foolish enough to ignore my mechanical engineering at those days, but now I'm learning it in the hard way. Okay, so at least I as an advice of a uh, very senior of engineer of Esther years, I can tell you that please, it's engineering itself is an interdisciplinary subject. So please respect the other streams of engineering. And especially if you are going to work on this, and now onwards, I mean, there won't be any silos kept. I mean, you have to work across the discipline, then only. Because I used to, as the introduction, I used to teach energy management in one of the universities in Cochin. So one electronic engineer asked me in the first day of her class. He asked me, "Sir, as an electronic engineer, what is my role in energy management?" Okay, I, I told her to wait. Okay. Then, luckily for me, in a few days' time, I could take all the students to the one facility in TCS here, where they monitor the entire all the facilities, about 200 installations world over in various continents. The entire energy is being monitored from the central facility in Kochi. Okay, I could the managers there, they explained how they are tracking the energy. For example, the HVAC, if it is overshooting, they'll send an alert to that facility manager there. Your AC is shooting up, so you control, look into that and control, etc. So after that visit, when I came down, I asked her. So now have you understood what is the role of an electronic engineer in energy management? Okay. So she was very happy and said, okay, that is besides anecdotal about it. Next slide, please. So see, we start. I told that my subject. I thought I'll so just now it's already six. Okay. Say new frontiers. I mean, so say energy studies will transgress the conventional boundaries. That is something which you have to say. As I was mentioning, even the origin of life, abiogenesis. Okay, this origin of study of origin of life itself, there is a component of energy conservation. Anthropology, I told the the entire the cultural evolution of the mankind depends. It can be defined in terms of various energy transformations, and predominantly with the energy conservation in mind. Okay, so the generation of surplus. Okay, surplus of energy, that was the guiding force, because the countries which developed the more surplus in those days, are now flourishing. They are prospering like anything. Okay, the industrial nations, because they discovered, they exploited the new source of energy in a big way. They generated surplus energy, and they are enjoying it. Of course, now we are telling that you are the culprits of global warming, etc. But so be it. I mean, they are enjoying their fruits of their exploitation now. Okay, we are only lamenting. Okay, so that is the culturally itself, the historically, the evolution of history also is guided by the various energy consumption activities which took place. Okay, then so exergy economics. I told you about the exergy is the useful energy. I mean, so because see now people are economics are now trying to find out what is the exergy level and what is the surplus exergy which is defined, which will find, which will provide a decent living to people of their countries. I mean, these are kind of research going on. So it is a combination of engineering plus economics. Okay, so you people should develop an aptitude for going beyond engineering. That is what I'm insisting, harping again and again. Then agriculture. Interesting to learn that see agriculture there is a energy return on energy investment. Okay, so it is going up. But, the earlier days it was about in the range of 3. Now the energy invested and energy return harvested is it's in the tune of 4 times. Okay, so but there is a downside also to that. A lot of fossil fuel usage is happening in this thing. So that is why one of the great thinkers were he was lamenting. No, earlier we used to eat potatoes made from the solar energy. Now we are eating potatoes made partly from the oil. Okay, so but but now a lot of research is going on in the vertical farming where the usage of water, usage of energy is much reduced and the productivity goes up. Okay, so again, the energy component is playing a role in that agriculture, behavioral economics. Okay, so while studying the energy, the effects of energy conservation, now people another theory which came in is rebound effect. Okay, so all the for a simple example, if you see, I mean, see once you put LED, okay, even if you see you have saved a lot of energy on the incandescent lamp, but you will allow it to glow all throughout the night, even when it is not required. Okay, it's only very pitchy, very small amount of energy is going. So although energy efficiency is there, the people are thinking that it is uh, that it's a small component, so then people spend more on that. And ultimately, the gross energy component goes up. So that is the behavior, that is the rebound effect on the energy conservation and energy efficiency. That is the behavioral aspect, and that comes to the you have to have a good understand because of the psychology. Okay, because now the and technologists have understanding the limitations of technology to control and conserve the energy. Now people are understanding it is people who is in the forefront of conserving energy. So psychology plays a role because like, people are researching on psychology, impact, psychological impact, how to influence, how to motivate people to resort to energy conservation methods, how to imbibe those concepts, thinking, consciousness, etc. So psychology, you see, these are then sociology, how the people groups behave. Then digitization, of course, this is something okay related to engineering itself. Okay, in digitization, we discussed that all how to monitor, how to use the ICT technology, etc. For this, so that is playing that is a major this thing. So, for example, that electronic engineer now will be happy to enter into these things. Metallurgy, because say now more the low carbon things have required. So the processing of the metals, new metals, discovery of new metals, all this have to play a role. And these are the new frontiers when it comes to the energy conservation is considered. Uh, so I think better now I'll stop here. Okay, so that no, I'll like to learn more from you by listening to your questions. I I always maintain that I'm still a student. Okay, so it's always when you ask questions, when I am not able to answer, I look up for them. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. The participants are advised if they have any questions, they can ask or put in the chat box.
Is there anything on the chat box already, or
No, sir, they haven't posted it, sir. If they can ask, they can unmute themselves and ask the questions.
excellent, excellent. That will be
Sir,
helpful.
what are the possible method that we can use in our energy conservation method that we can adapt in our college, use in our college?
Okay. See, you are in a particular building. You are in from NIT Calicut or
Yes,
hello?
sir. I am belong to NIT Calicut, but right now in home as online classes are going on.
Okay. So what do you want to see in your home? You are you interested in conserving energy at your home?
Sir, as we are a collective students community, I would like to ask in
Okay,
our
excellent. Okay,
college, how can we
I'll
do?
yeah, because I was trying to expose you to a macro concepts. Okay, now coming to the micro concepts on how you can save energy. Okay, say for example, say
Okay, sir.
I don't know whether your classes are air conditioned now. Okay, say see in our days it was only fans in REC in the classrooms only. In even hostels we didn't have fans at that point of time. Okay, the fans never used to get switched off in colleges. Okay, conserve energy and only when say conservation is not at the cost of comfort or convenience or production. Okay, this conservation is something which we have to practice, protecting your existing convenience, comfort, and the production ability. Okay, so see, if fans are required or AC is required for your comfort and convenience, it should be used only when it is required. So switching off, that is one major technology. Switch off. Okay, the switch which is on and off is a very predominant technology when it comes to conservation. Okay, then use of computers, because now we are all using computers. We have got a very bad habit of keeping it on. So there is something called phantom power. You must be aware of it, right? Even when it is not, it is idling, it is consuming certain power. So that goes for any electronic device, say for example TV, even your charging unit. Okay, it is all consuming energy even when it is not charging, even when it is not giving you any service. Okay, it is still consuming power. So better use that technology switch. Okay, it should be switched off from or unplugged, so that will save a lot of energy. For example, and say even the mobile charger, when you are not charging, please switch off from the unplug it from the uh, unplug from the socket. Okay, that's one thing. Then commuting. Okay, if you are a hostler, please walk to the college. But now you are telling that you are I mean only the what you call online classes. Okay, so otherwise if you have to commute, use the public transport. That will be conserving a lot of energy. And what else? What are the other say internet usage? Okay, now we jolly well. I mean, we say if you Google, you can know how much energy you are spending on each email. Okay, each WhatsApp message which you are sending, how much energy is consumed. You can just Google and you can find out. So restraint. Okay, practice some restraint, because that is in the interest of you and me and the entire planet. Okay, whether this WhatsApp message is going to serve any worthwhile purpose. If it not, please don't send it. Okay, please don't share that interesting WhatsApp message which you got if it is not adding value to someone. Okay. If it is adding value, yes, definitely do it. And if you try to chronicle all your activities like this, one by one, okay, starting from the, see, even when the usage of water, see, water is again energy. See, some energy has been consumed to pump it up, then drive it to your tap. It needs energy, and if that water is conserved, you are conserving energy as well. Okay, so each of your activity, if you analyze chronicle, then you will find what is the extent of saving is possible. Probably that you can take up as an assignment yourself, perhaps. Hope I made sense, Ganga.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Am
Thank
I
you,
making
sir.
sense?
And I have another sir. And we are saying like if it is not working, some certain light tube or something, we have to replace. How is it saving energy, sir? Replacement.
Replacement of the old tube lights or
Non-working,
incandescent lamps.
non-working. Yeah. So tube and
See, if it is not working, that means see, you are deprived of some convenience, some safety feature, because that light was in the originally that light was put with some purpose behind it. Okay, to provide you enough. Uh, See, it may be for working, it may be for reading, it may be for safety purpose. So that is why light is required. Correct. So if that light, okay, this incandescent lamp earlier, it has got an exergy factor of about 6 only, 6%. Okay, the useful energy will be only 6%. So whereas in the case of a LED, it goes up, it doubles. Okay, it goes up. So by replacing that, you are using lesser energy for the same kind of light which you are the energy service which you are getting is light. So the same kind of service, you are consuming lesser energy. So if the light in you are talking about a fused light which is to be replaced. Okay, that fused light which was originally put there because it was to serve some energy, to give you some service. If that service is still required, you can replace it with a lower the better technology equipment, like in fans also it can do. See, the earlier fans, say it used to consume around 70 watts per hour. So now there are fans available with higher service value, that that brushless DC fans are available, which will consume only as low as 28 watt, and at that too high speed. And in a see, maybe in a rainy day, you can run it at the lowest speed, which will then it will consume only 5-6 watts. Okay, and if you are using an AC, so AC can be kept at 28 or 30 degree, and the fan can be run 5 degree, so 5 watts, and you will be saving a lot of energy. And see, you are not compromising on your comfort level, your convenience level, and still you are reducing the. Did I answer your question on the replacement part?
yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You are in REC, which branch? Ganga?
Sir, in electrical
Hello.
engineering only, industrial. Sir, I am in doing first year MTech, industrial power and automation, sir. NITC,
Oh,
REC,
great.
sir.
Okay. Yeah. Because why I asked this question, because I remember when our student chapter was inaugurated in Rajagiri College in Cochin, one such girl asked me a question. She was asking about EV. See, if a patent is taken, that will be depriving of the masses. See, if an invention, a patent is taken, the masses will be deprived and they will have to pay higher cost. That's what she asked. I asked a counter question whether a person invents something because of his creativity, higher knowledge, higher dedication, higher effort. Shouldn't he be compensated? Okay, that girl kept on, communicating with me on the uh, email, etc. Now she went on to do her PhD, no, MTech in energy studies in Pune University. Now she has joined an energy research agency in Gujarat. She keeps on communicating. And see, I keep, whenever I have got some doubt, I ask her, okay, because she is much more into energy studies, much more. See, she can guide me on several things. Okay, so I like questions which from students like you. So I know probably she got inspired. I mean, by our talk, and also yeah, she was asking me which college to select, and all. I tried to my contacts. I asked a few guys which is the right college, and I guided. So that gives you also some satisfaction. No, you are having helped guided somebody. So she's an asset to the energy world, I believe. Okay. So, say a student chapter also will help in discussing this problem among yourself, and so and that can inspire you to think on various ideas. I mean, get into various new frontiers of energy. I mean, see, energy. As I told, economics, finance, all these are getting interconnected. I mean, see, don't just confine yourself to pure engineering. Engineering itself is technology, not science. Okay. Sorry if I digress. Any other questions, please? Mansoor, are there any questions on the chat?
Sir, there is no question in the chat box, sir.
I am disappointed. I see. Actually,
Sir,
yeah, Rahul.
yeah, sir. There are here the participants are MTech scholars, and not that some other persons are from outside. Most of the persons are outside Kerala too.
Oh,
So maybe we are more talk with the webinars with energy management, energy auditing, and all. Maybe most of the students are not aware of what you told earlier, the energy manager post and energy auditor case. If you give a slight brief about what it carries, or what the question carries, and what they are doing, and also in brief, we are supporting with energy auditing and all, how we can conduct, and how we can learn the energy auditing and all, purpose of energy auditing also, in a short brief such,
yeah, yeah.
the advice is better, sir.
Okay. See, as I told earlier, this, Bureau of Energy Efficiency has established this examination under the Energy Conservation Act, which was an act it was prevalent from 2004 onwards. Okay, so this exam is conducted every year. There are 4 papers. Any engineer with a graduate engineer with a 3-year experience, I believe it is 3 years. Okay, then a postgraduate engineer with a 2-year experience can write this exam. Uh, even now even the civil engineers have got a role, because building energy efficiency has been recognized as a big component, and now building energy efficiency auditors are also separately, they have got an exam. Okay, this consists of every year this announcement comes. See, but for COVID, these 2 years it was there was a delay and all. Otherwise, the exam is conducted somewhere in September, and the announcement comes about 3-4 months prior to that. You have to register. They'll give you syllabus. They'll send the books for study, and the exam. See, 4 papers for energy auditor and 3 papers for the energy manager. And see, that gives a very see, that is a distilled engineering of all the disciplines. Okay. Even if you are not writing the exam, please register. Even if you are not becoming an energy auditor, that pursuing that studies will make you a good engineer. Okay. Leave alone the career as an energy auditor or a manager, etc. Forget about that. Even if you are not pursuing a career like that, it will crystallize your concepts of engineering. Okay, you will try to debate it out yourself, why certain concepts are there. Okay, so what is the logic behind these engineering concepts? That will be an eye opener. Okay, because I pursued my engineering, this energy studies as a second career after my corporate life was over. Okay, um, I ventured into some entrepreneurship, and then as a backup of this thing, I started learning energy. That fetched me lot of dividends. Okay, okay. So for you, your advantage is you are still in the learning ability age. Okay, so it's worth writing the exam, but unfortunately, it's, you have to the undergraduate after the graduation you have to wait for 3 years. The postgraduates they have to wait after 2 years and they insist on 2 year employment also. Earlier, when the exam started, it was you could write the exam and then you could submit the experience certificate later also, but now that is not allowed. You have to show your experience also, and they also sometimes they insist on relevant experience. But you can always say, if you are a lecturer, you can say that okay, you assisted the students in doing audits, etc. And as for the employment part, these auditors and managers, they find a number of opportunities. And now see, first of all, they are taken by there are energy auditing firms. Okay, they are into consulting, so they offer this energy auditing as a service to the various companies. They employ these energy auditors and managers. Second, big companies have got their own energy. Say, for example, Reliance, for example, they have got their own energy auditing wing. Okay, so they have got so many numbers of certified energy auditors and certified energy managers managing. Aditya Birla Group, they have got their own this thing. Railways have got their own wing. In Kerala, the KSEB has got its wing. So like that, the companies are taking in energy auditors for their groups. And of course, till now, say fresh engineers may not be available, so they were encouraging their own employees to write the exam and get certified, etc. So that, and see, another thing is that see, under the Act, they have defined the designated consumer. They say they have fixed a threshold for energy consumption depending on the various industries. They have defined a threshold of um, the equivalent oil equivalent consumption. That is the standard for the energy consumption. So that threshold is fixed for various industries, and above which they mandatorily they become a designated consumer. They have to have a energy manager in their role. They have to have a certified energy manager or a certified energy auditor as an energy manager. And as of now, even the more and more companies and organizations are coming under the ambit of this designation business. They have to submit the audit reports. They have to submit the energy reports annually, etc. So all these energy auditors and managers play a role, along with the external agency who might be asked to verify, etc. So that kind of opportunities will keep on increasing because more and more companies, and this threshold level also they'll keep on bringing it lower and lower, so that more companies are brought under the ambit of this act and monitoring business. Okay, that is one area. Then there are government agencies like the Bureau of Energy Efficiency itself is there, and it has got state designated agencies in all the states. They need this certified energy auditors and managers in their ranks, in their roles, to monitor and assist the various agencies, various people who are working to campaign, to disseminate information, they discuss the policies, formulate the policies, and frame the rules, etc. They need energy auditors and managers in their roles. Then, of course, there are consulting bodies like Pricewaterhouse, what is it, EY, KPMG, Deloitte. These people are all advising their clients on various measures, etc. So they also deploy on this thing. Now, then I discussed with this ESG factor, environmental social governance factor. There, that ESG consultants are there. So these consultants also will require the domain expertise. So they will also enlist the enrollment of certified energy auditors and managers. Then civil societies, so they also campaign. Many civil societies also advocate. So any effort in the environmental improvement, etc., will have a component of energy, and these people will find it. And but okay, so you have to be open to geographies, open to working anywhere, okay, that across the industries. You should not be too much sensitive to not working in, I mean, engineering firm. Okay, so you may be working with the economic firm, okay, economic consultancy firm, where the expertise will be given by the energy auditor. And I showed you how these are the areas they will be getting employment. Did I answer your question? Or?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir,
Sir,
hello, hello. Yes,
okay, Larry.
yeah, sir. It was a great session, actually. Sir, what I said, I accept all those areas, but there is some ray of a line that some industries won't accept or won't allow energy audit. Like today, I have went to an industry as a preliminary audit. I went for a preliminary as an our course project. It's a course project of our subject. So their first question is this a energy audit? I won't be allowing. So why small industries like rice mills or animal feed mixers? So is there no scope in that industries, or they are feared about something else?
Yeah, see, correctly. I mean, that apprehension by the small industries is a fact of life. Okay, first of all, that the wording used, see, once they call it audit, so they are familiar with the financial audit, wherein they are given the what is wrong with it. So I always tell that, see, whenever I go to some industries, see, although the name is audit, it is not audit. It is a it is a study of your consumption on your behalf. Okay, so that, see, the entrepreneur or owner of that company, rice mill, you will not be in a position to spare time for this small thing. So we will help you how you are using your energy, how it could be saved for yourself. So you have to explain what is in it for him. Okay, rather than we addressing them from an ivory tower, you have to go to his level. What will be appealing to him, sir? See, if your present energy bill is, say, let us say 20 lakhs a month, would you mind it getting reduced to, say, 18 lakhs if I find some this thing, find some area where you can make some improvement, and if it can be reduced, will it be attractive to you? Okay, probably, see, those people will understand the terms of money. So that is why the see, you as an engineer, you have to be bit conversant with psychology, conversant with the finance, conversant with the economics, okay, behavior of people, what will entice him. Okay, see, although, sir, unfortunately, the term used is audit. This is just a review of how you consume your energy. Is there a possibility of reduction in that? That is all what I am going to find out. It is not a it is not a fault finding mission. I am not going to criticize you. I am only assisting you. It should have been ideal if you could do spare some time, and you are the best person. You tell that also, sir. More than me, you are the right person to do this exercise, but you won't have time. you have got so many other things to worry about. You have so many other things to cater about. So I'll act as your assistant, okay, to help you in finding out if that 20 lakhs can be reduced to 18 lakhs. Does it make sense, Srikar?
Yes, sir. I did the same.
Oh, very good, excellent. Okay,
Yes, sir.
you will make a good auditor.
Yes, sir. But I think some steps must be taken from the government side also, like making income tax as an uh, compulsory. Like this, we can make this also as an compulsory to industries.
Yes, yes, that is what I mentioned earlier. Now, see about 1200 odd organizations have been brought under the designated consumer category. Okay, they are brought under the ambit of that some schemes under which they are mandatorily they have to audit and submit reports. Now that threshold will be lowered to widen the net, and more industries also will be now about 12 categories of industries are brought under that. Now that they'll be casting their net far and wide because they don't have enough auditors. Okay, so that is why that they are taking a gradual steps. Okay, now B is announcing a home audit exam also. Okay, see till now the buildings were not there, commercial buildings were not under the act. Okay, now that has been brought. Now a fresh breed of building energy auditors are also being uh, going to be certified by an exam. So by and by, this threshold will lower. The more and more industries will come, more and more industries and organizations will come under the act. And see what you said will be practicable one day. But see when they make the law, they should have sufficient auditors also to audit. No? That is why they are taking step by step. The, from the government side, if somebody goes to okay, there is a law, but there is nobody to audit, they can go to court and get redressal, etc. They can put the government into trouble. So they are very cautious on these things. They have to be right. They can't overstep certain things. Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I would like to add this, sir. Recently in our GST also, some local customers like tea shop and all, they are like not including the POS machine. No, they are telling like that GST will be marked, so we can't provide that much service like that. So they are not using that. Then how these kind of will be accepted by the consumers? Like the energy auditing will be how far, how within how much years it will be implemented, sir?
Fortunately, the world is moving towards more and more transparency because of the advent of digitization. Sooner or later, they will get caught. Okay, because the you have to, as an small shopkeeper, also you have to file in several at various departments. Now these departments are not talking to each other. Say for example, income tax department doesn't know what they have filed with the sales tax department. Okay, these two people don't know what they have registered with the registrar of companies. So now, because of the increased penetration of the ICT digitization, uh, these departments now will have a unified. See, PAN is one step towards that, and you will have a unified identity card, without which you can't do business. So then, if you have got income in one source, it is not reflecting in another thing. So this will all get caught, and slowly but steadily the transparency is creeping in. Okay, and I don't know when, but definitely say that above board businesses will only survive, and this will all brought to that. So you have to patiently wait. I mean, see, overnight nothing will happen in a democratic country. Okay, that is a beauty of democracy as well as the downside of democracy also, because that democratic process takes place, but it will be something of a much more value than something very implemented with a heavy hand. So let us celebrate that We are in a largest democracy. Things are happening slowly but steadily. Our policy makers are seized of these problems. Now, at least they are talking of GST, avoiding GST. You see, earlier, no, they were not talking about tax at all. No, they never used to give in even a parchi for a kacha receipt. Also, they were not giving. So now at least they are giving a receipt, and if you ask for a GST, yes, GST bill, most people are giving GST bill. So you have to wait patiently. At least in your lifetime, I believe you will see much more transparency and formalization of businesses, and these things will come under that ambit. Therefore, example, ice plants. You know, there are ice plants who make chunks of ice. They will never allow you to audit, because so there the excise people, they bill it on their energy the electricity bill. They somehow manipulate. They used to manipulate their energy bill, and then used to show a lower energy bill, so that they pay their tax based on that. Now the prepaid energy meters are going to come, so you can't manipulate. You have to pay by beforehand and then charge your meters. Then only you will get electricity. That kind of things will come. So they will be brought under the ambit of surveillance and under the tax regime also. But these things will short. Well, by and by, it is happening.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you,
sir,
sir.
for the insight.
Sir, there is a question in chat box. Shall I read it out? Or?
Yeah, please.
Sir, Praveen is asking, as fossil fuels are depleting, what are the prospects of alternative sources like biodiesel, biomass?
Yeah, biodiesel and
Mass.
mass. It's a definitely, but the production of biodiesel and biomass as a alternative to fossil fuel doesn't doesn't count up to the numbers required. Okay, so now people are banking heavily on the yes, solar. We have got target of, I'm talking of India, for 500 gigawatts of alternative energy. Alongside hydrogen, see, from the carbon economy, we may move to a hydrogen economy. Okay, that is something which is being now heavily promoted. That has got one advantage is that, see, whenever these industrial revolutions happened, India was under somebody's control, so we never could get the benefit out of the industrial revolutions. But this is one opportunity, one golden opportunity which India is getting. If we are able to, because with the solar energy abundantly available in India, that can be exploited to make green hydrogen, that is by the electrolysis hydrogen separating from the, and that being used as a alternative fuel, because high high calorie, high temperature applications, this biodiesel, biofuel will not be helpful, because see, transport, yes, they have already, their policies are in position to have some kind of mixing diesel with some percentage. That also it is in the maybe higher single digit percentage. Okay. So I'm telling that that will have a limited extent of application, limited extent of replacing the fossil fuels. But yes, hydrogen, I have got a lot of hopes on being a replacement of fossil fuels. And the output, I mean, the waste will be water only, again, which can be recycled. Okay, as again to be recycled to produce hydrogen. That may be the destiny fuel, perhaps. As of now, we think so, because when we thought CFL will be the destiny lamp, but then the LED came. So like that, as of now, we think of hydrogen as a option, the final option.
Thank you, sir.
Who are all from NIT Calicut? See, at least can I get a student chapter of SEAM get going at NIT
Uh,
Calicut?
yes, sir. We are from NIT Calicut, MTech first year.
Oh, okay. See, that doesn't eliminate you from formulating a. You can be a guidance to the undergraduate students to.
But here the problem is that we are now is BTech students and MTech students are not interacted because of COVID situation and all. Now these days, now these 2 years, it is difficult.
I can get support of Ashok sir. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sir. We will discuss about this chapter and all, sir. It may be a benefit. I will discuss with Ashok, sir.
Yeah,
So,
Ashok is a doyen in this field, so you have got the advantage of able
yeah,
to interact with him, and see, he has got
yeah.
experience in industry as well as I mean he's a not I mean, see, he goes beyond his academic pursuits. Okay, so he's a very good example of a good how a professor should be. Okay,
Okay, yeah. Sir, shall we wind up the session, sir?
okay, thank you.
Always, yeah, thank you, sir. On behalf of IEEE PES Energy Society, a very special thanks for those insightful ideas and thoughts, sir, for sharing these ideas related to energy management, future endeavors, and old schemes and all. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for the session.
Thank you very much. And if it added some value to your education, your knowledge, I'm happy. Okay.
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
I look up to some of you at least pursuing energy studies, contributing to the society, contributing to the well-being of the planet. Okay. Thank you.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. The participants, please fill the feedback form too. Thank you.
Feedback form is given in the chat box. Please fill the form.
I
Thank
can
you.
log off. Okay. Bye. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you, always. Thank you, participants. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.